Today on the Coach's Wild podcast, we have a very special guest. He is also from my hometown. He was a dual sport athlete in high school, competing in both football and basketball, and he got to take those basketball talents to the next level, competing at Hartnell College in California. He's an assistant coach at Farmington High School, as well as an area real estate agent. Today, we welcome Jake Armijo to the Coach's Wild podcast. With the world of coaching evolving and the carousel always changing, we're going to sit down with some coaches, and we're going to figure out what they coach, how they coach, and most importantly, why they got into this profession. My name is Kason Wilkinson, and I am your host of the Coach's Why podcast.
That was my Coach's Why.
Welcome back to the Coach's Why podcast. We are in a very special situation today. We are actually in person. I think I told you guys a little bit of a hint last episode, but today we're here with Coach Jake Armijo, FHS basketball coach, assistant. How you doing today, boss?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for having me on here.
Of course, man. Of course. Very excited for this. As you guys know, this is our first basketball coach, so couldn't be more excited for that. Kind of dive into his philosophy and kind of how he's got from where he started to where he's at now. I'm going to let him dive into it, but you guys see that on his shirt. I've said that name multiple times. We also went to the same high school together, so, we know a lot of the same people. So we might have some similarities in some of these answers and or coaches we know. But I appreciate you jumping on today, brother. It really is it's really cool to do this in person, too.
Yeah, no, it really is. And I feel the love of being your first one in person. So
yeah, for sure, bro.
I feel special.
yeah, it's really cool. So kind of before we get into talking about like your coaching journey and stuff like that, I always start off these podcasts with letting you kind of take over and let people know who you are, where you're from. Obviously, it's on your shirt, but where you're from, and kind of, I guess just kind of give everybody a background about yourself.
Yeah, okay. Well, I grew up in Farmington for most of my life. I moved a lot growing up. A very cool, interesting fact about me is I moved in with my best friend in 4th grade, and by doing that, he's the one that got me kind of into sports, really. And growing up, my family, we just, I don't know, we moved a lot. We're kind of poor, didn't get to play a lot of sports. And, by being with my friend, it kind of inspired me to play sports. I was staying at his house every weekend. I was doing the chains at first.
Oh, yeah,
the chain gang.
Yeah, chain gang.
And
yeah.
I'd watch him play football and stuff. And so, somehow it worked out. I asked his parents to let me move in, and I moved in with him, and I got to play football for the first time and fell in love. I played football actually before I even played basketball.
Basketball, okay.
So that's actually interesting. And
yeah.
But it was super fun. I lived with my friend all the way till I graduated. I had a coach. I had coaches in high school who changed my life, which got me into coaching.
Yep.
And so I think that's played a big role of where I'm at now. We actually played football together, so we had good coaches there.
Yep.
I had a really strict and disciplined coach for basketball as well, and that guy just made a really true impact in my life overall, as well as like obviously my friend's parents.
Yeah,
my friend's parents was my coach as well.
Yeah.
In Yaffle and all that, all the way up to middle school, and we still talk all the time. He's still the coach. He's one of the coaches for Farmington.
Yep.
And so
Coach,
we keep up
Coach
with
Shetty,
that.
Coach Shuttleworth. Yep.
Ex-Navy SEAL.
Yep.
He's real disciplined. He just expects 100% all the time. But, I played a year of college basketball at Hartnell College up in Salinas, California after I graduated. And I came back here, actually, and I was planning to go play somewhere else, but I kind of lost interest, in a way. You just kind of, I had a lot of injuries, a lot of back injuries that I was dealing with my first year of college, and it was really bothering me. But then I got asked the opportunity to coach at Farmington, and that's something I kind of saw me doing long term, and so I saw that as an opportunity to kind of get my foot in the door. And my first 3 years of coaching, I was the JV head coach for Farmington, and then since then I've been the varsity assistant. But that's kind of the background on me. I have 3 kids, a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 7-month-old. I'm married to my high school sweetheart. So that's pretty cool.
Yep. Fun fact, the coach we just had a few episodes ago, Coach Ty, I'm sure that same coach that Ty referenced is probably the basketball coach that Jake's talking about. Another fun fact, Ty and his wife are also high school sweethearts. So we got some high school sweethearts in the building. So it's pretty cool that, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's hard.
I mean, I was in Ty's wedding as well, and Ty was in my wedding, so we're
Yeah.
best buds.
Hell yeah. So small world. He's still we're here in New Mexico and he's up in Michigan, but small world as you said. But yeah, man, heck yeah, I appreciate you jumping on the show and I guess kind of what I would like to ask next, because you dove in really, really well on kind of where you started and stuff, but I guess we can kind of go back to your high school days, if you would, of playing basketball, because I know you said you played it at the next level. When did you, because I actually asked Ty this, and you might know, if you might remember, so Troy was the 1. Were you the 2 or the 3?
So I was
like senior year.
Yeah, senior year, I was like the 2, but I dealt with a lot of injuries from football, actually.
Yeah.
I hurt my back in football, and I was just real beat up from that football season, It's a lot different when you kind of get the ball a little bit more compared to the previous years.
Yeah.
I didn't get the ball as much, and then senior year, I'm a receiver, and I got the ball quite a bit more, and man, I got hit a ton. And, senior year, I actually played a lot more 1.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly,
Okay.
I took care of the ball a lot more. I didn't score as much. I did score. I mean, I put the ball up a lot.
Yeah, of course. We got a shooter here for sure.
Yeah, shoot.
Yeah,
But
big facts,
I felt like I took care of the ball more. Ty was actually our leading scorer our senior year.
Yeah.
By just a little bit, and so I definitely played the 1 role a lot more my senior year compared to the previous years.
Few years,
because I played varsity as a freshman too.
Yep.
So I floated as a freshman. Sophomore year, no one really knew about me, and we had a senior class, and I was I was the youngest one coming off the bench, but no one knew about me, and that left a lot of open shots for me, and so
sure. Because that's actually something that we mentioned too. I mean, being Ty talked, was that senior class was one of PV's, if not the best PV's ever had that year. Just like as a start to bottom, and I think team in general, because Ty went with you guys to the pit as well. So it wasn't just the seniors, but obviously they led the team, right? But like Izzy, Shorty, Dom, July, right? You, Ty was on that team.
Corey Blackwater,
right? All these guys were super solid, right? So how did that? Actually, I think to this day, you guys were the only team to make it to the pit. How was that experience, and how did that transition to? And this might be a question for later on in like the coaching part of this, but like, how did that mindset? Did that do anything to your mindset for the junior and senior, and then how does that transition to you as a coach now?
Yeah, just looking back at it, sophomore year was really fun. We were always the underdogs. You could see it kind of working away from. We'll go back a year to my freshman year. We got this new coach. He took over the program, Coach Schock, and he just changed the whole program. It was real discipline. We had to wear matching socks. We weren't even allowed to wear colored socks. Like, we had to wear white socks until we earned it. And he was one of those coaches. And if one of us wore colored socks, we all had to wear it as a team. Right. He was real team-oriented, family-oriented. He always brought, God into it, which I thought was a big help with that. I mean, I'm a faithful guy, so,
of course,
faith is a big part of me right now, and I love that. Well, he did to it. But anyways, we broke a lot of school records our freshman year.
Yeah.
A ton of school records, team records, individual records, and then it kind of just did the same thing our sophomore year, and we were really a tight group too, because I think we only had a couple seniors that first year, and so we didn't graduate a lot. A lot of guys were returning, and I think the most important thing is we were brothers on and off the court, and we were just always there for each other. And I think that bond that we had off court really showed on the court. Yeah. And man, we just fought for each other every game. Every game's just a battle, and you go in, it's nothing's more fun than going in there with your friends,
with your boys,
and with your brothers, and fighting for your coach every day and every game. But the way that changed my mindset going into my junior and senior year, we made it to the Final Four. We lost pretty badly. A few things obviously didn't go our way. We had a couple injuries. Some guys fouled out, and then it was tough to come back during that game. But the Final Four was fun, man. It was a blast playing at the pit, and I got to experience 2 games there, so it was fun. Actually, the game before we lost in the quarterfinals, we beat the back-to-back state champs. So no one expected that either. People thought we were going to go in there and lose to them. But my mindset going into my junior year was actually really good, man. I expected us to make it back. We started off actually really hot. We were, if I remember right, we were 11-1, 10-1, somewhere in there. Only one loss. We beat Cleveland in the Mar Sanders tournament. We were off to a hot start, but then we had a kid who was actually uneligible. A kid that played most of our games with us, he lived in the other district, and so somehow the schools found out, and we had to forfeit all of our wins.
All your wins.
Yeah, so we went to like 1-10, and it kind of deflated us a little bit, you know. But then after that, it kind of just went downhill from there. Over Christmas break, I tore all the tendons in my hand and my shooting hand, so I was out for a couple of weeks after Christmas. When I got back, our buddy Satchel, he was hurt on and off, so that year just went through, like, you know, we were at the highest of highs, and then it just dropped down, and it was tough. We still made it to state, but a lot just didn't go our way that year. And then senior year, you know, Coach Shock left, so we got a new coach. We had a ton of seniors. I think we had 8 seniors on the team that year, and all we knew was, you know, what Coach Shock taught us over 3 years, man.
Yeah.
And then we had to get a new coach in there to just kind of change everything up. It was tough, and it was tough for us to adjust. And, you know, I thought with our senior leadership, though, we did a good job. It was just real bumpy having to learn a whole new style of basketball that we weren't used to.
Yeah.
And the same thing again, you know, we made it to state, but we lost the first round. Actually, I didn't even get to play my last high school game I got in a district championship game against Farmington. I actually took a charge and got knocked out.
Oh, I think I was there for that one.
Yeah, took a charge, knocked out cold, laid there for like 30 seconds. You know, it was I played football my whole life and I've never been knocked out.
Yeah.
And I'm over here getting knocked out in basketball.
Hey, yeah, you don't have a helmet in basketball though, you know.
Heck yeah, I hit my head on the ground and I was out cold, man. And so had to sit out for a week, and a week from that day was our state game, and
just missed it.
Just missed it. So that's kind of how.
That's a tough one.
It was tough.
That's tough. Heck yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure that, you know, whenever you're coaching these kids now, I feel like you are able to take some of your personal experiences for whether it's the highs of the pit or lows of a junior year, or individually, right, being able to missing out your last game of senior year. I'm sure you're able to throw some of that, you know. I'm sure you're able to kind of like speak on things that you see your kids going through, right? Every single season you've been there, whether it's the highs or lows, right? I'm sure you have some really good pep talks, if you would, on getting these kids through difficult or high moments, right? Yeah. Not getting too high, but not getting too low. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure you got some really cool stuff that goes on in those. I would love to be in the locker room to hear some of the stuff that you and Coach over there have to say. So as you kind of went, you know, and we'll kind of go back to your high school days as well. Whenever you were in high school, you did play at the next level, but when did you know? You know, when did you kind of get the aha moment that, like, oh, I can compete at the next level? So kind of when did you know you could play at the next level? And then what was your recruiting process like once you knew that time? You know, when did that recruiting process start? And then how did that, you know, process transpire for you?
Yeah, my, you know, when I knew I could, I played club basketball.
Okay.
So I played AAU starting from my sophomore year, my junior year, and my senior year. And so each year my confidence kind of just built because you're playing against some top level talent. You're playing with the best in the state. Club teams usually just keep the best of the best, you know. Right. And so I started realizing it more and more my junior and senior year, man. I was just a really good shooter. I played a lot of basketball, and I was just making shots. And by playing club basketball, I was seeing and playing with a lot of faster, quicker, taller guys than we see here in New Mexico in general, you know, and especially in our area. We don't have that many athletic kids, and we're just a smaller
community.
We're just small around here for some reason. I don't know what's in our water, but that's what I was saying. I don't know what's in our water, but it keeps us small. And but like the bigger cities, you know, they got bigger guys, stronger guys, more athletic guys, and especially all the states around us. But by playing AAU, allowed me to kind of play against that competition, and it improved me a lot because I had to learn to adjust. I had to learn to play better. I had to learn to take care of the ball. I wasn't much of a good ball handler, but that made me into a decent ball handler.
Yeah, right.
And I think it was more closer to after my junior year, man. I had a really good junior year after my surgery. I mean, before my surgery and after my surgery. Once it healed, I just the way my shooting was and the way I could handle, the way I could see the game. Because all I did is watch basketball, you know. I love the game.
Lakers fan.
Big Kobe guy.
I know.
Big Kobe guy.
Fun fact, I didn't really like Kobe growing up until like I got, listen, until I got to like probably sophomore year, and you every single day that anytime I ever talked basketball, I would try to talk trash, and you would always present facts to me. So from like sophomore year, I was like, you're right, maybe Kobe's that guy, and so I became a fan of Kobe because of you.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
fun fact, just so you know.
Yeah.
So whenever he passed away, I was like, damn, bro, I know
Worst
Jake
days
is freaking crying right now, and obviously I was sad. I mean, the whole community was sad, but
The whole world, man.
yeah, exactly. But I was like, I wouldn't even probably be this sad if Jake didn't transform me 10 years ago at that time. So I was like, hell yeah.
I was wearing Kobe clothes all the time.
Every day,
man,
yeah.
all the time.
Yep,
Man.
yeah.
I love Kobe, and that's I think I played football and basketball the way he did in a way because I always try to play through injuries just because of him. It's kind of dumb now. I look back at it, because I'm hurting now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what got me away from playing more college basketball. I think because I was just like, man, my body's always hurting.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could even withstand this anymore. But in high school, I was just always trying to be that guy, like, hey, just play through it as much as I can. But my going into senior year, I can't remember what website I got. It was a college.
Like NCSA or whatever.
Yeah,
NCSA,
it was actually that. It was like
yeah.
that. So I actually ended up buying a membership to that. Put my videos up there all the time, and I got looked at by a lot of JUCOs, maybe very few D2 schools, and at the college level, man. But that's when I kind of started noticing because that summer is when I started getting actual letters from people and from JUCOs, and so that felt pretty cool.
Yeah.
So when I actually went and played college, though, I was gonna say that I think that summer is when it hit me when I started getting these letters where I was like, oh, okay, maybe I can go do this,
Yeah.
I think I could do this. And I'm a skinny guy, but like I said, I think my shooting has helped me a lot to get to that spot because that's all I did was shoot. I shot a lot of basketball and put up a lot of shots throughout my high school career, but going to that year, so that's when I realized it. And then when I got to college, I don't think my coach trusted me as much because I was skinny and a smaller guy. But then I think as he saw me play more and more, and then kind of that's how the season started too. When the season started, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead.
No, you're good.
But my season as the season started too, the first 4 or 5 games, I didn't play a lot. I really didn't, and I never got my head down though. I knew once I got my opportunity, I was gonna take advantage of it. And every time I went in, I made sure I just focus on what I had to do to get on the court. I did the small things, Coach Shock in high school taught us to do the small things. So I took charges. I did all the little things that, guys didn't want to do to get noticed and get trusted to be on the court more.
Yeah.
And then I remember one game we were playing the number 1 team in the state, and they happened to be on our conference. It was this team from San Francisco, and a really good team. We got slaughtered. But, I played a lot that game, and for some reason he decided to play me a lot that game. And I just, I played my game and just put up shots and was just being me out there. And then after that game, I started playing more and more and more. And then around Christmas time, I ended up starting.
Heck yeah.
He started running plays for me. So it was really cool.
Hell yeah.
Really cool.
That's cool. That's awesome. That transition like that. That's cool. And I always love this part of it because some of these guys, even though I say I've known these guys since, I've known Jake since probably middle school. Maybe earlier, but probably middle school. And
we did actually do Boys and Girls Club one year.
Oh yeah, we did.
That was the first time I played basketball.
It was like 4th or 5th grade. Yeah. So I've known him since 4th or 5th grade, and same thing with Ty. But some of these conversations, I've never had with you. I've never talked to you about college and how why you didn't go or why you didn't go past that, right? And same thing with Ty. So I actually really enjoy this. So some of the stuff you're learning about same thing as me. So it's really cool. But I kind of go back to the AAU thing that you mentioned. I talked to a coach last year, and we spoke about football side of things and how, from when we played in school, right, there was very few kids who were physically able to compete, right? On a bigger scale, right? It wasn't like we had a huge amount of kids who can go.
Yeah.
But nowadays, you're seeing New Mexico is starting to develop size. You're starting to see some of that speed. You're starting to see, I know ABC, I think is what it is in Albuquerque, right? Yeah, the basketball academy. How do you think New Mexico basketball stands now versus then? And then what do you think about some of the kids that you see athletically that we haven't seen? At least on a ratio size, right? On the amount of kids we have compared to back then.
It's kind of interesting. It's just I feel like it fluctuates. It goes like this, really. It goes like this, but overall, I think the talent is better, in a way, just because I think people want to honestly, I don't know if it's social media or what, but people want to look good. There's a
Yeah.
lot more coverage of high school sports nowadays, and
Yeah.
people want to be good. And kids can just shoot these days, man. I've that's something I've noticed overall. Like the shooting has gotten a lot better since I've played.
Yeah, for sure.
And athleticism wise, I think I see it here and there. Like it fluctuates a lot. Like one year we'll have a down year, kind of. One year we'll have a good year. I thought one of the best talents in our state. He was going to be a senior this year, but he moved to prep school in Arizona.
Oh yeah,
Holland.
Yeah.
He was a stud, man.
And it's interesting though because I remember who made waves here whenever we were in school was like Adonis.
Yeah,
He made waves, yeah.
But we had Bryce Alford,
Yeah,
Cole Neal.
Bryce Alford, yeah. And we had some really good athletes back in the day that were able to go to the next level, whether they chose to or not, but could have, right? And obviously, we had talent here as well. But like, you didn't really see that ABC, that what they're doing there, or what they're doing now, right? We didn't really have that now. We had AAU, but we don't have like a true. We want the best Albuquerque or New Mexico guys to come here and play, right, or whatever. So it's just interesting to see how athletically we've changed as a state for certain sports. And I do agree. I think that social media and stuff makes a big difference. And one thing I mentioned last year when I was on the episode with Coach Smalls was I think people are starting to like, if you're going to be in New Mexico, I think they're tired of seeing New Mexico be a bottom half or bottom 10 state in athletics, right? So people are starting to put more money into New Mexico as a state for AAU, club. I think it's across the board, right, in all sports. I've seen a lot of Division I soccer players leave the state over the last 5 years, at least compared to back in the day, right? But like club, prep, things like that are starting to really develop here because of whatever it is, but I think people are starting to, they're willing to invest into our youth here for athletics.
I've definitely noticed that. I agree 100% because I think it's just like you said. I think we're getting tired of being kind of left out. I think New Mexico is left out in a lot of sports in general, a lot in everything. We're I don't know what it is about our state, but we've just always been like I said, we're always smaller than people. Like you could get a New Mexico team together and we go play a Texas team or like a Colorado team or
wherever,
wherever.
Almost most other places. Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I really don't. But like I said, it fluctuates a little bit. But I think skill wise too, like people are putting a lot more focus on just wanting to make our kids better and improve, our lifestyle. Give a lot of kids an opportunity is the biggest thing. I think a lot of kids. I think there's more opportunity today than ever.
For sure.
And so I think that also helps.
For sure, yeah. People are starting to recognize it and kind of put that effort into it. So, hell yeah, I agree. It's cool to see, right? Like we have kids, so if we do end up staying in New Mexico for their whole childhood and they do develop into that high school athlete, hopefully they can be a part of it. And it's cool that I know that like they're gonna have a better opportunity to compete, at least option wise, and hopefully true talent wise, playing against people, right, than what we had. So I agree. And that kind of transitions to one of my favorite questions, but you can dive as deep as you want or not, but you've already kind of mentioned his name, but I asked this question. It's has there ever been a coach in your life who made an impact on your life? And who was that person and why is it?
Yeah, and I think I touched up on this a little bit earlier. It was Brian Schock. When he took over the PV program, for 3 years. He just real disciplined guy. At the time you don't notice it. I was kind of a butthead in school. I'd get in trouble here and there over silly things. I'd get technicals because I had an attitude, and he would put me in my place right away, man. I wouldn't go back in the game. This one game really stands out to me. I just remember I got in trouble at school for being on my phone. Teacher took it away from me. I backtalked. And he just benched me, and just sitting there on the bench just hurt. Anytime you don't get a play, it just hurts. And he knew how to get to me, and that just really bothered me. And I think it was a game that we could have won, and we lost. And this other game, actually, my junior year, my first game of the season, I had like I said, I moved in with my best friend, so I lived with my friend, and my mom and my grandma actually came down to watch my game for the first game of the season. And they traveled from Albuquerque because that's where they're from. And, I'm all excited. I'm actually having a good game. First 5 minutes in, I'm having a great game. And I take it to the rim. I get fouled. I thought it was an and one, but they ended up calling a charge on me.
Oh, wow, okay.
And so me, being dumb, I threw the ball against the wall kind of thing, just mad, like bull crap, right when I got my first technical that year, because my freshman and sophomore year I got a lot of technicals and my coach didn't like it. And first game of the year, junior year, he just sat me down the whole game, and the whole time I thought he was gonna put me back in.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there waiting to go back in, waiting to go back in.
Fourth quarter comes,
Yeah,
and you still haven't touched it.
He just never put me back in, man. And I think that changed me a lot. Like junior and senior year, like I still had a little attitude, but I learned to hold it in and learn what to use it more on the court than showing it, expressing it with my mouth.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think that was a big lesson right there where he didn't care. He didn't care that my family came to watch me. He wanted to teach me a lesson because he wanted me to be a better person.
Yeah.
And I think as a high school athlete, you don't see that at the moment, but as I've gone older and older, especially my senior year, I was so grateful for it because I look back at it and I'm like, man, he did this for a reason because he loved me. He wanted me to be better.
Yep.
I'm a big proponent on sports or life. Like the same things that happen in sports are going to happen to you in life, and just the way you hold yourself and carry yourself, and just the way you are, how you react to things.
Yep.
Is very important, and I think he's the one that really strained me out, kind of made me more disciplined throughout my life to this day.
Right.
So much to, my second son, I named him after him a little bit.
Really?
So my second son is named Camden Shock Armijo.
That's sick.
And so, yeah. So
Coach Shock, if you're listening to this, you got somebody here. You got a God athlete out here somewhere.
Yep.
So that's cool though, because I know Ty actually mentioned that in the last episode. He talked about how Shock really helped with integrity and built integrity for like what to do, behind closed doors, right? And so it's really sweet to see that it wasn't just one athlete. He did that for across the board. Hopefully all athletes took it, but not everybody buys in. But for the most part, he made waves and he made character changes for a lot of people.
And he did. I talked to everyone I played with, man. We all say the same thing. There's not probably one guy you could go to and they would say anything different because he was just that father figure that you had outside of your home.
Yeah.
He invited me over for dinner a lot, so I'd go eat with him and his family. I know he's helped out some of our teammates with he paid them to do some jobs just to help them get some money. 'Cause I know that we had a few teammates or one in particular, but he just needed some money. He worked and he had to help his family pay the bills.
Yeah.
And so he knew that, and I know he gave him some side jobs to do to help him with that.
That's cool.
Yeah, man, he's just such a great guy. To this day, I actually went fishing with him for the first time a couple months ago, and so that was pretty fun.
Yeah. I actually saw him 2 years ago at the New Mexico coaching clinic at the beginning of the year. Yeah. I saw him there and I was like, wow, this is like, it was just cool. I told Ty, I was like, every time, I didn't play with him really, right? But, or play for him, but every time I saw him in the hallway, he was always, same energy. He was always high energy. What are you doing? You better get to class. He tried to do it not only for his athletes, but I feel like he did it for all his students too. So it's cool to see that he didn't change for anybody or anything.
He's just such a good guy, man.
Yeah,
really
for sure.
Guy.
I agree. So after your experience kind of coaching and doing all that stuff, right, or I should say playing, after you've spent your time with Coach Shock and in college and everything like that, when did you decide that coaching is what you wanted to do, right? Everybody might have that aha moment, just like you did when you had the opportunity to go to college. You might have had a moment in life where you're like, I want to coach, right? So is that something that when did that moment come in your head? And what made you decide to take that leap into coaching?
After I graduated, I was going to school for athletic training, and so I was trying to do whatever I can to be an athletic trainer or something to work at the school, so somehow I could coach. I don't know if that would allow me to coach, but I wanted to be involved with the schools,
right,
is what I thought. And I don't know if I ever even thought about really coaching, but, like I said, when I lived in California. After that year, I moved to Albuquerque for a little bit for that summer, and I worked, and then I moved back here, and I was still trying to go play places, but it just wasn't looking so good. And I was just like, you know what? And I kind of felt like defeated a little bit too. But I felt like I could have maybe went somewhere and tried on. But a few colleges said I could try on or walk on the team. And so I was just like, I don't know. Going back and forth with it, tossing up the idea. And like I said, I had who was the head coach at the time, Coach Corley for Farmington. I was good friends with his daughter, and his daughter actually just messaged me one day, and she was like, "Hey, my dad wants to know. He knows you're here around town. do you want to coach? And, I put some thought into it. I said, oh, well, let me get back to you. I'll think about it. And, I really thought about it nice and hard. And I was like, you know what, maybe this is something I want to do. Maybe this is where God's kind of leading me type thing. And, I was like, yeah, actually, maybe I'm done with basketball. So I don't know if it was like an aha moment, but that's right there was kind of like the moment where I was like, you know what, actually, I think I do want to do this. And once I accepted it, I fell in love with it. My first couple of years, your first year, you're kind of, you don't even know what the heck you're doing. And I was young. I was 19, 20. So I was like, what are these kids are going to listen to me?
Yeah, right.
But they did. And it was fun, and I enjoyed it. But that's kind of when I realized, like, then my second year, third year happened, and I was like, this is something I do want to do. So I started going to school, actually, for psychology at the school to get into, just to be a teacher. I was like, this is what I want to, I guess I'm going to be a teacher at the school, and so I could coach long term and see where this takes me. But then, obviously, COVID happened. A lot changed during COVID. Mindset changed a little bit. Realized I didn't want to work with the schools. Realized I didn't want to be a teacher.
Fair.
Found a job that allows me to control my own schedule, my own boss, and something that allowed me to still be able to coach. And so I thought it was like just the perfect storm. And
perfect opportunity.
Yeah. So as long as I'm still able to coach, and I love it, man. It's fun. It's really fun, and my goal is always to make a difference in just one kid's life. If I can make a difference in one kid's life, that means more than anything.
For sure. Yeah. So yeah, you don't really have a timeline. I know you started at FHS and you've been there since then. Mm-hmm. But I'll ask you this question. I think you and me, even like historically, I think we and me have had a conversation about this. I don't know if we have, but about like head coaching, right? Yeah. Is that kind of an end goal for you? I mean, is that something you want to do? Is running your own program a goal of yours? And if it is, I mean, are you looking to kind of just stay high school, or is collegiate coaching something that you've tossed around with you and your family at all, or even in your own head, at any time?
Yeah, no. Being a head coach and taking over a program is definitely one of my goals. I definitely want to see what I could do. I don't know how long I want to go with it. Who knows? I could go all the way till my kids are in high school. Who knows? But I definitely want to give it a try, because I think I could truly make something. I could make it a true impact on kids' lives, and just by being able to run the program the way you want to run it. I've been kind of the past like 2-3 years. I think I've been more ready than ever just to kind of take that next step.
Right.
Because I've been an assistant for 7 years now.
Yep.
And so, being through it all with I've coached with 3 different coaches, 3 different styles. I've learned a lot. I've learned how to work with parents. I've learned how to work with the kids. I've learned just all the nonsense you have to deal with, all the other stuff you have to deal with, like scheduling,
administration
stuff, all of that. Yep. So I think I've been more ready the past few years, but my biggest thing is I really want to take over at Farmington. Hopefully, you never know.
Yeah.
I just really want to interview for the job next, and so whenever our coach is ready to step down, I'm hoping to get the opportunity. Yeah. But if not, it is what it is. I don't know where I'll try again.
Yeah. Because
I'm really picky about where I want to coach. I don't know. I love 5A, man. I love the big schools.
Yeah.
Ever since we got moved up to the big classification,
it's
I love playing against the best of the best. You see the best talent. And in our area, there's a lot of smaller schools, so it's a lot of small ball. It's just different, man. It's a whole different level. So it'd be tough for me to go to like an Aztec, a Bloomfield, 3A, 4A school. It'd be tough for me to do that, and maybe I would, but. At the moment, my mind's either 5A or nothing. That's just kind of where I'm at right now. And
have you? And this might be for more of a separate or a different time, but have you thought about like relocating? Because I know what you do, right? If you guys don't know, if you guys ever need to buy a house, this guy to come talk to. But being a real estate agent, right? You can kind of travel and do things like that. I know you have little kids, so I know, right? That's obviously the biggest, if not number one thing, is like them to be in a good spot, right? But have you ever thought about like moving to a different state if it's the right fit coach wise, but like also for your family wise? Have you kind of looked into relocating, or you guys like it here?
It's on and off. I think my wife, she wants to stay here. We have family here, and family, it takes a village to raise kids, man. And I love the help that we have with our family. I love this town. It's a good family town. I always tell her I could see myself moving. because if the opportunity comes, I could see myself relocating somewhere.
Yep.
And like you asked earlier, if I could see myself coaching at college, I don't, because I think you might have to go back to school and take some classes. And
Yeah, you probably have to.
I don't know if I want to go back to school. And,
that's
you know,
I mean, it depends,
that's
right?
a tough thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of the tough part. And maybe I do. Maybe I've always told my wife, like, I can see myself taking some classes here and there, because I've thought about using her free credits, because she used to work at the college.
Yeah.
And she doesn't anymore now, so I guess there's no more free credits. But I thought about taking just some classes just to learn, because I mean, as you get older, you kind of enjoy learning.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, it's kind of different from when you're younger. And but maybe if that opportunity came, but I don't know. I love the high school level. It's fun. I love building that relationship with kids, and I think I could relate more to them, because since I didn't go play a lot of years in college, I feel like I could relate more to kids in high school, where their mindsets are at. I feel like I've been in their shoes before.
Yep.
And I feel like a lot of those kids need more help now than ever.
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Just because there's a lot going on in our world. Love social media, hate it, but there's a lot of comparing going on all the time, and just being able, and just a lot more depression now more than ever, a lot more suicides in high school, a lot more than ever.
Yep.
In the past, and so I just feel like I could relate there, and my job, I just really want to. Impact.
You enjoy where you're at, for sure. This is kind of rolls into some of the final questions here. What do you, and you've touched on a lot of things, so I don't even know if there's this, I might not even need to ask this question, because it's about, like, what do you love about coaching? Mm-hmm. And it sounds like, you've already mentioned, like, you've learned about the administration, the parents, right? You've learned about how to handle some kids and talk to kids and all that stuff. But I'm gonna ask this anyways. What do you love about being an assistant coach right now, and what do you hate about it?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I guess it's not all the pressure goes to you. All the pressure is probably on the head coach. Whether we're winning or losing, it's gonna be on him, and from what everyone sees,
Right.
But what I love about being an assistant is, it's kind of interesting. Our head coach right now gives me a lot of jobs, and so I'm really involved. And my first year, so I'll go back, my first year as a varsity assistant coach, we got this coach, great guy. They hired a guy that was a former D1. He played pros overseas, former D1 assistant. So I was going to quit after my 3 years of JV, but then they hired him. So I was like, I want to learn a lot from this guy. I asked him to be his assistant, and he agreed. But that year, was not a fun year, man. He didn't allow, as an assistant coach, he didn't allow me to do, like, anything. I never ran practices, never gave me the opportunity to do drills, never really let me talk. So it was interesting. It kind of took the fun out of everything. And so then after that year, I was like, I think I'm going to quit too, because I just didn't really enjoy it, man. I just didn't feel involved as much. And so my job was just, what I really did is just, like, talk to the kids on the side a lot, kind of help them here and there where they're struggling. But then that year he quit, and then they hired this guy that's been at the program as long as I have, and so I love that, and of course he wanted me to help him, and I was like, sure, I can't turn that down.
Of course. And
I always tell people this, because my first 3 years, man, and I'm not trying to sound cocky, but I don't think I'm a good assistant. Like I love being a head coach. I love being able to do things what I want to do. It's definitely taught me a lot from the assistant standpoint, but I'm just so bad at keeping track of, like, the little things, like I don't know what, like, the assistant things,
Yeah.
I'm more focused on the game. I like, just like I said, my first 3 years was head coach on the JV, so I'm used to, like, kind of paying attention to everything going on, not so much paying attention to stuff like going on the bench, which I probably need to do it better. Not probably, but I need to do a lot better on that. Because I don't focus on that as much, and I guess that's what I hate most about being an assistant, is just not being able to run everything like a head coach, and it might be just a confidence in me. I think I could run a program pretty good, and but me and our head coach now, man, me and him get along so good, and me and him are always on the same page, and we've done such a great job, I think every year we've improved.
Yeah.
We've gotten the program to where we're at, but being assistant's fun, like I said, but I like being in control too.
For sure.
And so that's probably what I just don't like about it.
Yeah.
It's tough. I remember when he first took over the job, I even told him, I was like, hey, can I just be the JV head coach? Because I didn't want to be the assistant.
Yeah.
But I'd like the assistant more, just because what I do like about being assistant is you're coaching the varsity, and varsity is what really matters.
Of course.
And so that's the fun part, man. I enjoy actually being on the varsity and just,
Right.
it means a lot more than just a JV because no one cares about the JV and C team.
Yeah, right.
We always want to make sure our JV and C team coach are doing their thing.
Of course, they're developing for
Yeah,
us
and
at varsity.
developing, and they do a great job, man. We have an awesome coaching staff, and so, but yeah, like I said, I love running things, and I see things and I want to make adjustments like this and that, but sometimes that's where every coach is different. Sometimes the coach wants to stay in this when I think we should change this, and he makes a call.
You guys aren't running any. They don't want to run man, so we're gonna stay at the top of the top of the arc for 7 minutes of the first.
You don't even know how much crap I get to this day about that, man.
I wish there was a video of that, man. If you got this, it was. Oh my gosh! It was rivalry week at Farmington High. So we obviously played at PV, but we're at Farmington High, and as we were obviously I didn't play basketball, but we were in the student section, right? It was probably like 2 minutes into the game. It was back and forth really well, and then all of a sudden, Coach Chalk was like, "If they don't want to run man, we're just going to hold the ball." And we didn't have a shot clock, right? So this man sat with the ball, dribbling for probably. How long are quarters? 8 minutes, right?
Yeah, a couple.
It's probably like
second and third quarter.
It was probably like 5 minutes or 6 minutes straight because they didn't want to come out, so we just sat there, just dribbled. It was freaking like 12-10 going into halftime or some crazy low number.
Yeah, the final score was like 28-27.
It was the worst game to watch. It was more fun for us to get onto the. It became more of a shouting match between student sections because of that. So I'm glad that that's not something you're gonna run.
Well, that game's so funny though, man. It's funny because like people give me crap about that, but I'm like, I trusted our coach. Like I remember at halftime, our coach specifically said, "Well, if they don't want to play man on us, because for some reason we just didn't do good against zones. We just didn't have enough shooters. Like we just weren't a good zone team for some reason offensively, and so we're like, well, we could beat these guys if they play man." And I remember at halftime he was just like, "All right, well, if they don't want to play man, we'll keep it low scoring, and Jake will hit the game winner." And I was like, "All right, well, just do what coach says, hold the ball at top of the key." Mm-hmm. And we did that. And then finally in the fourth quarter, we started playing a little bit and going back and forth. And I remember he calls his timeout, draws up this play, and I pass it in, and everyone goes to Ty, actually. And he dribbles up, and I go opposite. And, for some reason, they left me wide open. And this is like, I don't know, like less than 30 seconds left in the game. I get it, knock down to 3. We take the lead, actually. So I thought that was the game winner. I'm like, yeah, coach called it, man. I hit the game winner. We go up by 1, and there's like 5 seconds, 6 seconds left. So it was actually less time. I think there was like 20 seconds, 15 seconds. But there was like 5, 6 seconds left. They get the ball in, and they just give it to their athlete, and he goes coast to coast. And what I would say to this day is Ty, the guy that you interviewed last time, and one of our other players, Ray, took a charge. Both of them were right next to each other. They both took a charge, and it was a football guy. So he just laid him out, and the refs call a block instead of a charge, and so he got to hit 2 free throws to win the game, and that's how it was.
That's how it ended.
It was a fun game though. In ways it was fun. I get so much
trash for
trash for it to this day because a lot of guys are at Farmington that witnessed it, and so it's funny. It's funny, but like I said, I trusted my coach. I was like, hey, we're just gonna do what he says and go with it.
Hey, it worked out. You got the dub. So I guess it might not have been a fun game to watch, but hey, got the W. So that's
we lost.
You did lose because he hit the doubles.
He hit the
20-27. You're right.
Yeah, so we lost.
Yeah,
by
you
1.
lost. Yeah, you're right. I remember that now. Because I remember our AD got onto us because we were yelling saying we won after your. We started singing na 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 after you hit that game. We thought game winner, and then I do remember that. Damn. All right. Never mind. All right. Well, it's all right. The idea was there. The right idea was there. So kind of to finish up here. I know you're being an assistant, right? You may not have total control on like building your future on like the level of your team, I guess. But I know you, with how much you and your coach work together, you've seen a lot, right? And you've been around a lot of coaches. So how do you build a successful program? How do you think, whether you know or if you were to have the opportunity, how do you build a successful culture on the level of buy-in and mindset?
That's a great question. Actually, it's a perfect question because my coach, our head coach now, Larry Don Chitty, and when he took over the job, our biggest thing. I mean, we're bad. I even wrote down our records here just in case. Our first year we went 10-17, and we had the smallest. That was our first year second year in 5A, but it was our first year together as him taking over the program, me being an assistant. We got a whole new coaching staff. But we went 10-17. I don't know how we won 10 games. We had the smallest team, just tiny. But, to build that culture, one thing that we did is what we wanted to focus on is no matter what happened, like we wanted our guys to give 100% every game.
Yeah.
Like no matter what, no matter the score, no matter what, you're going to work your butt off. And if you're not, you're coming out of the game. 2 is you're going to have good energy on the bench. You're going to be cheering on your teammates. You're going to cheer on each other. You're going to pick each other up. Those were kind of the main 2 focuses is, energy and your effort were really big. And those are the 2 things that that's all we were going to focus on. Hey, if we have those 2 things, everything else will kind of take care of itself. And it did actually, man. I remember playing against all these 5A schools and these pretty good teams, and we're right in the game for 3 quarters. It was always the fourth quarter where these teams kind of just ran away. The better team always gets you in the fourth quarter because they finally figure you out.
Right.
But those first 3 quarters, we would have the other team sweating, and I would say just to build that program and to build that culture is, focus on those things because especially when you're not as good. But I think those things work great with any team. I mean, if you had a good talented team, if you could just focus on energy and effort, I think that'll take you a long ways anyways because that's what gets the job done.
For sure.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And any bad energy, just doesn't help at all either. And so I think our guys over the years have had good energy. I wrote down our records actually, so to show, our first year together, we went 10-17. Second year was a COVID year, so we went 5-6, and we had a really good team then. Then after that, in 21 and 22, we went 20-9, made to the state tournament in 5A, lost to Hobbs. The year after that, we went 15-13, so we dropped a little bit, but that year was a funky year. We had a lot of injuries, a lot of close games that we just lost, and it almost felt like nothing went our way, and we had a pretty good, solid team, too. We had a really good team. It's just like one of those years where just nothing went your way, man. You had to fight for every little thing, and those close games just always ended up swinging the other way. So I learned a lot that year because we were really good, but then last year we went 22-8, which was our best year. Really good senior class. We had a couple 4-year starters from that group. But I think what we built there was, like I said, we used energy, effort, but then we also built a family environment. I've never had a team, over the past 4 years especially, we really created a culture where, we guys really loved each other.
Yeah.
Like we had players after every practice, I'm telling you, after every practice, every game, those players would come out the locker room. They would talk to all the coaches. They would say, "I love you." Kids are usually shy about saying "I love you," man. Like, they're usually really shy about it, and our kids weren't shy about it. And we made it a thing. We just, to this day, me and the coaches and the players were always saying, "I love you."
Yeah, sure.
We do. We want to be there for each other. We want to create that family environment, and I think that was like one of the best things we could do in the program is create that culture where we're comfortable with each other. Where we might have been a little too close to these guys that just graduated because, man, the stuff they would tell us, you just got to ignore it sometimes. But, man, we were really close to them, and it was a fun group. And I think now with a newer team, we're trying to still, get them to understand that.
Yep.
That's going to be the challenge this year is just kind of getting them to take over. They have big shoes to fill because the group that we had the past 4 years, really created that culture, too, of adding into that love culture, just where we're a family and we're there for each other. And so ever since then, man, it's been pretty cool. Like every practice, I'm not joking. Almost every single player would come to us and say, "Tell us bye.
Yeah.
I love you, coach. See you tomorrow."
Yeah.
Like nothing's better. Like that feeling is just far like one of the best feelings
It
ever.
really is. Yeah, it really is. You gotta love it whenever they love you just as they love being there just as much as you love being there. And that brings a family, which probably actually answers this question because I know you talked about like it just builds a culture, but I'm glad you brought those records because it kind of shows where you guys started to where you guys develop now. But one of my questions that a lot of coaches, these questions a lot of coaches stick to the end to listen to because this is what they want to kind of get the gems. But like building a program on like the level of winning and like how do you sustain that? It sounds like you guys might have kind of found, I wouldn't say the key to it, but like you guys kind of figured out like obviously any sport, but especially in high school, right? Having 2, 3, 4 year starters that were able to buy in from a young age, transitioning over, right? A lot of coaches talk about like, player-led teams and stuff like that, right? But having that age, or what do you call it, maturity, right? Whatever you want to call it, whenever they've been around for a while, goes a long way. But with your that you guys have coming up this year, right? How do you guys sustain what you guys have built last year, and how do you guys continue that success, right? Even if it's not 22-8, but if it's like 18-10 or 18-9, right, or whatever, or whatever you want to put it in out there, right? Like how do you sustain what you guys have built, and how do you guys produce that into wins, not only this year but in the future?
I'm not sure. We're gonna have to figure that out, kind of thing. With the new team, it's been we're gonna always start off with what we know is the energy and effort, and I think that's one thing. We joined a fall league the last 2 years, and so this year most of our guys are basketball guys. We only have a couple football guys, and so it's a pretty tight knit group that just plays basketball. But like you kind of mentioned it, but good teams will be led by good coaches, but great teams will be led by their players,
right?
And that's true. After graduating that senior class, we had a couple players who just really bought in and just led on the court. And we lost a really great leader, one of our best leaders. He was a leader since he was a freshman. And it's kind of funny. He has younger brothers, and they're twins, and one of the brothers are exactly like him. So I'm hoping he'll fill those shoes.
Right.
But it's kind of getting these guys to understand that we do need leaders out there, and a lot of it's going to be on them. Like, we can only do so much as coaches. And I think something we've emphasized this fall, because that's what we've kind of noticed, is like, our effort and energy actually weren't there as much this summer and this fall compared to the previous years,
right,
with these younger guys, because now it's their turn, and it's kind of funny because like the JV team, that the players coming up, man, they've had a great 3 years. Like, they killed it on C team. They had 1 loss on C team, 2 losses on JV as the sophomores, and then last year they went undefeated, and the only team they lost to on JV was to the 2A state champions.
Oh,
and
okay.
We put our JV in a varsity tournament, and they beat all these varsities, but they lost to the 2A state champs. So that's the good part of this. Like, they know they could win.
Yeah.
But now, feeling a bit more pressure. It's a little bit more pressure now being on varsity, and feeling that, and being able to understand that is different than what you're used to.
Yep.
Like I told you earlier, it means more being on varsity. Like, it means a lot more. There's a lot winning and losing really matters now to get you where you want.
Yep.
If you want to make state, you gotta win games. But I think it's just getting these guys to understand that, 1, we need leaders out there. 2, energy and effort are going to be our main focus this year. We're going to have to because we have to reteach everything almost, and so I think it's just kind of getting us as coaches, and it's getting us coaches to be better now. Now we got to be better, and we got to get to coaching again. I mean, like I said, we kind of great for the last 2-3 years because we've had a group who knew everything going into the season, and they knew what was expected. And,
right,
we still did our thing and coached and
of course
did that, but yeah, it's just kind of starting over a little bit and getting these guys to understand now it's your turn, and so you guys need to learn to be leaders. We just a lot of quiet guys, I think guys aren't sure who's a leader or who's what.
Where they
like I said, the leader that we lost last year, like, his little brother is a really good leader, man, and we lost to him in the fall. I never realized how much he would damage our team. Not like damage, but he hurt us with not being on the court because he is that leader.
Yeah.
And I think once we get him back, because he's hurt right now, and so he's been hurt for a month. And so I think once we get him back in the season, I think that'll help a lot. Right. But, yeah, just getting these guys to understand that, it's going to be – our wins and losses are going to come from what they do and the work they put in, and the work that they're willing to put in and what they're willing to learn from, too, and being coachable. On the varsity level, you have to learn to make adjustments. You have to make it like that. It's not you're playing, and I always tell some of our guys, because we have some really good talent, but we had a guy who kind of struggled a lot this fall, who's a really good ball player, but man, he would just we just had a lot of turnovers, just being a new group and getting them, like, you're playing against faster guys, smarter guys,
it's faster,
the best of the guys. It's a lot faster, and you're getting coached. We're playing against better coaches, so they can't get away with those stuff that they got away with on JV. Like those just silly passes, no look passes, like all kinds of stuff. You just got to kind of keep it simple. Yeah. So it's just kind of reteaching those, the basics, honestly, reteaching the basics to these guys, making them understand that the basics is what it's going to win us games. It's not all this flashy stuff, all this, these home run passes is what I like to call them, home run plays. Just keep it going back to the basics and getting them to understand that those little things really, really matter.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, I can say that it sounds like you guys are on the right path for this year, and hopefully you guys do well. I'll be on the lookout for it. But I have one more question for you. I know we're a little bit over our time here, but this is the name of the podcast and probably the most important question for some people. They like to just know why, right? But some people like, how much you dig into it, right? But what is your why? Why do you coach?
My why is just to make a difference in kids' lives. I mean, my life was kind of changed by sports, by coaches. And they truly have an impact on how you live your life, I think, afterwards. I think there's so many lessons that you could learn in the sport, every sport. But nothing's going to be given to you. And getting kids to understand that is, I think, so important, just because you're going to have to work hard. Life's not easy. Life's hard. I always tell my guys, life's hard. Winning is hard. Everything you do in life is hard. Nothing's easy. If things are easy, you're not improving, one. And two, if things are easy, I mean, something's wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
Something's wrong if life is easy, if anything in life is easy. So you always want to be challenging yourself. But that's my why. I just really want to make a difference in kids' life. I love building the relationships too. I mean, if you want to tie that in with my first answer,
yeah,
I really love seeing these kids building that connection, seeing them after high school. Just still, I have players who are coaches now. I have players who are just doing good things in life. Just keeping that connection there, seeing what they're doing, having them text me too here and there. And yeah, no, that's like one of my favorite parts too. I mean, the group last year, like I just got done saying the last 4 years we had a really special group, man, and we're actually still in a group message, and
heck yeah.
We stay connected, and we talk to each other all the time. We're always like, hey, I love you guys, miss you guys, and they say it back, and they say sometimes they text us randomly in that group message, just out and about saying, hey, I was just thinking about this game last year, but just wanted to say, like, I miss you guys, love you guys. It's cool to get those. It's it really means a lot to me, and that's kind of one of my favorites as well.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that you're, I know that you've said that a few times, so that really shows like that's your foundation of all this is you're doing it for the kids and for the betterment of not only those kids but community, and to build lifelong and lifelong, leaders, if you would, of whatever they're doing, right? You teach them the good, they're going through the good and the bad, but at the end of the day, you're here to make them better people.
I would say we don't do it for the pay, I tell you that much.
Big facts. Absolutely big facts. Absolutely big facts, man. So, but I really appreciate you coming on here, man. I hope that you want to come back on here again. I haven't done really a second episode with some people, but my second episode that I want to have people come back on is going to be more of like breaking down, programming, breaking down, why you do certain things inside of the actual, like, on the whiteboard in the coaching, right? Or if it's football, what they're doing in the locker room or whatever, right? Kind of breaking down some of that backside or, the behind the scenes stuff outside of like, yeah, this is great and all, but you've shown success. So, like, let's dive into that more, right? Yep. So that's kind of what I would like to do on the second one. So hopefully you want to come back for that.
Oh, definitely.
If you guys are still listening, still watching, if you guys are on YouTube, make sure you guys HTB, hit that bell. You guys know what to do. Hit that notification bell. Like, subscribe, all the 9 yards. If you guys are on PocketCasts, Spotify, wherever you guys are listening, make sure you guys leave a review. Hit the stars. Whatever you say it with your chest. We'd like to hear what you got to say. Coach, I really appreciate you being on here today and taking the time to let us come to your office and talk to you a little bit, brother.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Of course.
It's always good talking to you.
Yeah, of course, man. But with that being said, guys, thank you guys for listening and watching. Peace.